This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Home Cooking Delivered, the home cooking delivery service in and around Southampton, based in Burswoden, delivering in and around Southampton. Search their website www.homecookingdelivered.net or search on Facebook Home Cooking Delivered and sign up today and look at their deals. There's pictures of their food on there, their meals that they make, their prices. So get that here. Big shout out to Next Generation Martial Arts Southampton. That's a mixed martial arts gym down in Shamrock Key Marina, and they pride themselves on being Southampton's friendliest mixed martial arts gym. And that's true because they also they double up as good dog sitters as well, because they just looked after my dog while I was away for the week. So head to their Facebook NGMA or their website www.ngma.co.uk. Sign up for your first session, which is free. And Strength and Performance Southampton are a state-of-the-art gym located between West End and Fair Oak in the Southampton area, and they pride themselves on helping you to lose fat or gain muscle or just improve your nutrition and just become healthier. You can search them on Instagram and Facebook by searching Strength and Performance Southampton. And Mission Mental Health is a podcast which is brought to you by a friend of mine, Sam. And it's a very good in-depth podcast, and he's now proudly working alongside Help for Heroes and raising money for the armed forces and for veterans. And the podcast is based on just talking about mental health, depression, anxiety. If you suffer with eating disorders. And he opens up a whole array of subjects which have become very taboo in this day and age. So search Facebook Mission Mental Health and stay up to date with his podcast. Now, let's get involved.
She doesn't kiss and tell, her love's not for sale, and she won't fall for any games I play. So I smile back mischievously, girl, you must not know me. I think we're already going that way. I can't promise that you won't be mad when you wake up and I'm not around, 'cause every love I've had, it all went bad. So this is all I've got now. You're nothing but trouble, and I've had a couple. So tell me if I'm trying too hard. Those jeans that you wore belong on the floor, so I'm ready to go whenever you are. Go whenever you are.
That song was a song by a young gentleman by the name of Taylor Watts, or his stage name is Tay Watts. And that song is called Ready to Go, and that's off his original EP, Ready to Go. And Tay, I was lucky enough to meet in San Diego whilst he was performing at a nightclub called Tin Roof. Him and his friends, who are signed to Keep Your Soul Records, were performing live music. And I was lucky enough to have a chat with Tay, stay in contact with Tay, and follow his music journey. But tragically this year he lost his life. Beginning of the year, he went to watch the sunset with his friends, as he does every night. Nothing different, nothing out of the ordinary. And he fell off the pier, and they think he hit his head on the way down, and he never resurfaced, which is a great shame, great loss to the world. Because if you knew Tay, and you knew what his journey was about, then you'd understand exactly where he was coming from with life, and you'd understand how tragic that loss is. But I'm back from Majorca. I've just been to Majorca for a week with my family, which was great. It's an incredible place, Majorca. I'd never been before, and if you've been there, you'd know how incredible it is. I've got my holiday shirt on, which didn't actually arrive in time for my holiday, so I'm still wearing it now, just to keep myself in that holiday mood. But yeah, Majorca is an incredible place. Some of the clearest water I've ever seen in my life was in Majorca. And the weather was outstanding. The people were friendly, and it's only 2 hours from where I live, so it's a no-brainer really to go there. That was a great time. Spent some great time with with family that we don't often get to because life gets in the way. So it was nice to spend time with them and my 2 young nephews. One's 9 and the other one is just turned 1. So it's nice to spend time with them and to see how they're growing into young men. And it's nice to spend time with my mum and dad too, because I think as we get older, I think we separate ourselves from our parents. And there's an important line as you become an adult, and I'm a fully grown adult male, and I've realised now there's a line that you cross at some point in your life where your parents, you step back and you see your parents for the people that they are, rather than just being your parents. And it was so nice to spend time with my mum and my dad, to see them as just people rather than parents, because I haven't been on holiday with them overseas in maybe 11 years. So it was so nice to finally get that done and spend some amazing time with them, as well as my sister and her partner and the 2 boys. And one of my nephews, Harvey, the older one, he's 9. He's like a gamer. He doesn't really do much interaction with other children. He just likes to play games on his phone or play on his Xbox, or just just amuse himself in them sorts of ways, rather than he prefers to stay in and play games rather than go out and get muddy. And that's fine if that's what you're about. I said it before, that's the generation now. That's just the way it is now. And he likes to do that. That's what he's into. But on holiday, he made a really good little friend called Billy. And they got on like a house on fire, and it was so nice to see Harvey doing the things that an average 10-year-old would be doing. So I'm glad I got to see that. And Hannah and I flew home yesterday, which was Thursday, because today is Friday. So we flew home yesterday. My parents and the rest of my family have stayed out there until Sunday, because they'd done 2 weeks. And we only did the 1, but split that week up. And it was my sister's 30th birthday as well whilst we were out there. So it was nice that we could spend that special occasion in somewhere, in a different environment, where there's no stress. You haven't got to worry about your phone ringing. You haven't got to worry about your door knocking. It's just you guys there in that moment, which I've come to realise as you get older, doesn't happen much. And then, before we know it, life changes. So make sure you love your family, and make sure you're spending time with them where you can. Sorry, I just had some water. But it's important to spend time with family, because that's who we came into the world with, and that's who stays with us. For the majority of people, that's who stays with us throughout our whole life. So that's we started this episode quite deep. But Majorca, what a place. Really, really nice place. Although they had a fucking tsunami when we were there. Although I'm not really sure you can call it a tsunami. I bet the people in like Thailand or the Philippines are laughing. I think it was classed as a mini tsunami. It's only about 5 feet, these waves. But I still wouldn't want 5 feet of seawater rushing through my house or my business. So we had a tsunami when we were there. Luckily, we didn't get affected by it. I believe one person, lost their life with it. So that's sad. And it's the one thing I always come back to: how unpredictable and how powerful nature is. There's nothing you can do about it. It's happening. So that was quite a different thing to be on. Be on an island where a natural disaster like that is happening. because here in the United Kingdom we don't really get much. May get a high wind here and there, but we don't really get anything that causes real damage. So all I can hope is that everyone is okay, other than obviously that one person who sadly lost their life, and hopefully the island returns back to normal soon. But the one thing that I didn't like off the back of this tsunami was the jellyfish that it kicked up around our part of the island. I was out on the sea. Me, my dad, Hannah, and my mum were all out on the sea, and there was jellyfish everywhere. And if you've never seen a jellyfish in real life, they are, they're the dark artists of the sea. You maybe think that's maybe a clear plastic bag with some spaghetti hanging out of it, but it's not, because as soon as that spaghetti touches your skin, you just got touched by a jellyfish. It's meant to be quite painful, and I think I may have got touched by a jellyfish tentacle, that dark art spaghetti, whilst I was in the sea there. I think it may have touched my toe, and I can't be too sure because it wasn't that painful and it didn't last very long, but I felt something similar to like a small electric shock go through my toe and through my foot. And then when I looked down to the floor, I saw a jellyfish near me. But I know it may have been a dead jellyfish, because jellyfish aren't supposed to be on the floor or near the floor. They're supposed to be on the surface or near the top. So maybe I just caught a dead jellyfish, and this maybe the sting isn't so bad, because I know they can still sting you when they're dead, once they died. But maybe the pain is not as great if they're dead. So yeah, maybe I'm thinking I maybe got touched by a little jellyfish tentacle there. But they're weird. They're the weirdest things of the sea. And before I went, I was worried about that that big 5-meter shark that was seen off the coast. That was on my mind before I went there. And then now when I got there, I got to worry about fucking jellyfish. And they're a real threat. They are the dark artists of the sea. And sometimes, you can't really see them. There's people out there with nets, catching these jellyfish in the nets. And I was catching a few in a bucket. And I don't know if there's any sort of, vegans listening, then they're probably going to be upset with me right now. But I caught 3 jellyfish and I slew them. I buried them in the sand. Took them out of the water, dug a little hole, and just filled the hole back in, because jellyfish are a nuisance to people who are trying to sunbathe or enjoy their time at the beach. So I've done a good deed for the people of the beach, and I killed 3 jellyfish. So that's 3 jellyfish that aren't out there trying to brush past your skin, or creep up on you and kiss your neck when you're not looking, when you're swimming in that sea and you're worried about the seaweed or the shark. Oh, there goes the jellyfish, giving you that love kiss on the neck, tickling the tentacles, tickling your skin. So there's 3 of them, no more there. A lot of Europeans in Majorca, which makes sense because it's a European island. But there's a lot of Germans there, and Germans are different people to us. The way they do things is totally different. I mean, you go to the beach and you see a German family there, and they think nothing of the mum having out her her fun bags. She'll be sat there with maybe a 10-year-old boy, who I can only assume is her child. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's another child from a different family who's just a pervert and wants to get a glimpse of these big titties up close. But you'll see a German mum sat there with her bare chested, with her boobies, her tentacles out, and her son's there and chilling. And personally, I think that's a bit strange. Not sure what your take on it is, but I wouldn't feel comfortable going to the beach and sitting next to my mum who's got her bosoms out for the world to see. And the men always wear, tight like Y fronts, and that sort of unnerves me a little bit, because there's like a generic pose through the European men where they stand on the beach in their Speedo hot pants with their hands on their hips, but sort of with their hips thrust forward, and they're just sort of looking out to sea as if they're an icon, or as if they're having a bronze statue made of them. They just stand perfectly still. The only thing that moves is their head, slowly from left to right, just gazing the shoreline. And sometimes you might see the twitch of his love stick move. You might get a bit of blood pumping into there, and you might see that area move. But for the most part, they just stand there with their hands on their hips, hips thrust forward and looking out to sea, like some sort of sex symbol. So yeah, and also there's some real like elderly boobs. I saw one lady who sat with her. She was bare chested, and her boobs were, just sort of relaxing. Her boobs were relaxing more than her. Her boobs were relaxing. They were resting on her knees. So they were getting a real good, they were getting a nap. They were taking a real long, hard nap, because them puppies were just rested on her knees, and she was just going about life as normal. And that's not a problem, because I understand people come in all different shapes and sizes, and people have their flaws. But when you imagine topless women at a beach, you don't imagine their boobs resting on their knees. That's all I've got to say on that. But if you want to set your boobs free at the beach, then you do that. But it's just a bit strange to me and our culture. But if that's what you do, if that's what happens in your country, if that's your culture, do your thing. But then you have to be prepared to know and understand that it's not everyone's culture. So you may get people looking at you funny. You may get people staring at your boobs, because there's people on that beach who have never seen like boobs in the flesh. They've only ever seen magazines or on the internet, or like a picture that's been printed off, or their friend at school has drawn. Because that's what I used to have to do. We had a friend in school. His name was Johnny, and his dad used to have lots of explicit images on the computer of people doing the sex, and Johnny used to print them photos off without his dad's knowing. He used to give them out like around the school and stuff. So there's a business in that, but the art of the internet is probably killing that now. But what was I saying? Boobs, pictures. Yeah, for a lot of them young men on that beach, it's probably the first time they've seen real fleshy boobs in real life. So you've got to be prepared for people to have a look and have a stare at what's on display there, and that's just human nature too. So as long as everyone's happy, no one's offended, or no one touches them, then I think we should be okay. The main worry for me actually going to Majorca was flying on a propeller plane. I mean, it's 2018 and they're still trying to fly on propeller planes. That's just French. How French is that? It's luckily for me it wasn't a propeller plane, because we flew on a Thursday, and that's a jet engine. But if you fly on a Sunday, as my parents and the rest of my family did, you got a propeller plane. And I don't like the idea of that propeller plane. I don't like. I know it's exactly the same setup, really, as a jet engine. Where because my initial worry is if one of them propellers fail, you're in a world of trouble. But I should imagine it's the same. It's the same. It's the same outcome if a jet engine failed. There's only propeller planes will glide better should an engine fail. So, but I didn't feel comfortable with being on a propeller plane because I've been on a propeller plane before, and that's quite hard to say quickly. Propeller plane. Been on a propeller plane. I have been on a propeller plane before in Thailand, and that was a different experience. And you've got to fly lower on a propeller plane and stuff, and it's just a little bit more uncomfortable for me. For some people, flying is an uncomfortable thing as it is. So, if I was worried of flying or scared of flying or had a fear of flying, I would like to know that I'm in, the engine that we're running on is okay and it's not, it can get you there safely. And I'm not saying propeller planes can't get you there safely or are any less safe than jet engines. It's just me, and that's just what my brain allows me to think. As soon as I see a propeller plane, my brain instantly tells me that it's not as safe as a jet plane. But stupidly, when I was in Majorca on holiday, I was watching a bit of TV one evening, just chilling out before we went out for dinner. I was flicking through the TV, and I watched I don't know why, but I watched an air crash investigation, which is not the best thing to be watching, when you're in between flights. But I watched this documentary on how a plane crashed in America. And it all come down to human error. It was the pilot, which made me realise how much pressure is on pilots, because they're responsible for sometimes hundreds of people in that aircraft, and that's a great pressure. So, but yeah, in this particular instance, they had their runway slot changed because I don't know if you know, but you only get certain slots to take off when you're a pilot because there's so much traffic in and out. You get like a 10-minute window, and if you miss that 10-minute window, you have to wait until another one. And depending on weather conditions and winds and stuff, you can be you're told to go on certain runways. So in this instance, the air traffic control gave the pilot and the co-pilot a slot and a runway to go off of. But last minute they changed it, and when the plane is taxiing towards the runway, they're supposed to do what's called a taxi check, which is making sure all the wing flaps are fully extended to create air resistance and stuff. And in this particular instance, the pilot didn't do it because they changed the runway and they changed the takeoff time. So the pilot was a bit disorientated or a bit uncoordinated, and he didn't do the taxi check and didn't fully extend the flaps on the wing. And as soon as that plane got like 50 feet off the ground, it came back down again I believe it hit into a bridge and just burst into flames. So I was a bit unnerved by watching that, and Hannah did not appreciate me watching that whatsoever because she's a nervous flyer as it is. So it's a battle to sort of keep her calm on a flight anyway, let alone without me watching air crash investigation. So yeah, that was sort of Majorca summed up for me. Really like the place. I'll definitely be going back there, and if you've been there, you'd understand why I'll be going back there. So yeah, and I'm really I'm pleased that you're all here with me and we're all living this together. What else has been going on in my head? before I went to Majorca, I met up with my friend for a coffee, and we were just talking about things, just passing time, and we got onto the subject of, like human and robot integration. And I think I might have spoke about this before on here, but I don't feel like we're too far away from it. I don't feel like we're too far away from having, like robots with human brains, or human, like sort of bionic sort of like fingers and stuff. I think, they're going to eventually, and I think in our lifetime, I think we will see the sort of first sort of humanoid. I think it'll be a humanoid where a human integrates with a robot. Like where rather than have like a brain, it has like half a brain and half like a microchip motherboard sort of thing. I don't think we're too far away from seeing that. That was quite an interesting conversation. My friend Adam thinks that eventually we will end up, someone will have like a like a microchip in their arm or something similar to that, where that just sort of replaces what your mobile phone would do. So you don't need to carry sort of anything in your pockets anymore. All your details, will be chipped into you. You'll be able to talk to people through this chip. Have your like your ID on it. They can maybe scan it and check your age and check your name. And he thinks that it's gonna totally replace whatever you carry in your pockets, which is not, I'm pretty sure someone has already had a microchip put in them, because I'm pretty sure we've got like holographic. Is it holographic? Holographic the word? Where where a light or whatever is on your phone screen is cast into the air, and it's in front of you and you can move it. I think that's holographic. I think that's the word. But I'm sure we have like holographic phones somewhere, maybe in China, because China are advanced in that situation, in that sector. China are at the forefront really of technology. And that's not me stereotyping. That's not me putting out a racial slur. It's just proving that China are the forefront. They're the runners of technology. So I can almost guarantee soon we're going to see a microchip if it hasn't been done. Someone will have like maybe like a keypad, small keypad or something etched into their skin, and they can use that. But I think we eventually we're gonna see human and robot integration, and maybe that'll be the end. Maybe that's the end of the human race. Which is quite a scary thought, really, when you think about it, because if it happened in our lifetime and was successful in our lifetime, we might not serve a purpose anymore. There may be no need for us to exist. It may be too expensive to have humans. When I'm going to call them a humanoid. When a humanoid can do things more efficiently, more economically, and don't cost as much money. And I can almost guarantee there's some crazy scientist out there now who's putting this plan into action. So there's some quite scary times ahead, but it's quite. I think I'm glad that I'm living in this time to witness what is going on. If you think how far we've evolved in the last 100 years, if you think how much has changed in the last 100 years, then the pattern goes, we have to sort of keep evolving at this speed. And if we keep evolving at the speed we have evolved, then I don't want to even think about where we're going to be in another 100 years' time, because we could literally be out of space. And they say the sun is going to what was my dad telling me? My dad was telling me the sun, it's burning the gases from inside out. So when all the sun's gases are used up, they think there'll be like another Big Bang. I think that's what my dad was telling me. I'd had a few pina coladas, so my vision is a little hazy. But I'm sure my dad was telling me the sun burns the gas from the inside out. And once that gas is spent, then the sun is due to explode, and they think it will create a big black hole or another Big Bang. I don't know. I can't remember fully. It seems a long time ago. Yeah. What was I saying? Fuck. What was I saying? I fucking hate when my brain does this. You know, when you're on such a roll about talking about something and your brain just totally forgets about it. We were going about the sun. Can't remember. It's gone. Oh, human-robot integration. I think that's what we got at. But yeah, we're probably going to... What the fuck was I talking about? I know I left human-robot integration behind. I know I closed that one off. Oh, I don't know. You know, I'm still in holiday mode, so you have to forgive me about that. I forgot what I was talking about. But at the end of the day, I am only human for a moment until I become a robot, maybe. But yeah, I'm still in holiday mode. I still got my holiday wristband on, which means if I went back now, I'd be able to get food and drink. Which is just a thought just entered my head actually. So if I was to keep this wristband on forever, and just, you know, get a cheap flight out to Majorca, rent maybe like a little hostel or a room somewhere for next to no money, but kept this band on, could I still go back to that hotel and just walk around as if, you know, I'm there, as if I'm a resident there? You know, maybe they changed the colour of the bands, I don't know, but everyone that I saw coming into that hotel we stayed in, they had these orange wristbands on. So, don't know. But I got my holiday shirt on as well. This holiday shirt didn't arrive in time for my holiday. So, I'm still wearing it now. I still wore it today because I'm still in, holiday mode. And I don't want this holiday to feel like it's over just yet. So I thought, why not? I'm going to wear this holiday shirt, keep my shorts on, keep my flip-flops on. Because the weather in the UK is still pretty tropical. Seems cold at the moment though compared to what it was in Majorca, but still fairly tropical for the UK. So I'm still in holiday mode. I've not had a pina colada just yet, but I have found root beer. I found root beer in the local supermarket today, and I haven't had root beer since I was in the USA in 2016. So that was a nice little find, and I bought a lot of it because I do like root beer, and I know it's quite a safe drink for me in my home because Hannah does not like it. So I know I can buy it, and it's safe, and it's all going to be just for me, which is quite a selfish outlook. But because I like sharing, but I don't like sharing root beer. Let's just say that. It's if you haven't tried root beer, it's a very acquired taste. It sort of tastes a bit like toothpaste, but I really like it. So try it and see for yourself. Right, what else has been happening? Let's look at some news headlines, shall we? Just make sure my brain is clear of all thoughts that have been happening. But it's all been this past week has really been mainly about holiday, and that's all I've been sort of thinking about and talking about. Let me just make sure that brain of mine in there is purged of all thoughts. Yeah, there's nothing coming back to me. Nothing jumping out at me, I don't think. So, news headlines. Let's have a look. Nuclear isotopes. Is that how you say it? Nuclear isotopes found in California wine. That doesn't sound good. No, I'm just going to go out here on a whim and say if there's nuclear isotopes anywhere near anything you're consuming or anywhere near where humans can breathe, then I'm going to say that's probably not a good thing. And it says here that there's red wines that have been people have been drinking them for years, that have come out of Napa Valley, that have traces of nuclear isotopes from Fukushima. I think it's Fukushima, but that's probably not a good thing. There's probably going to be a lot of healthcare issues later on down the line here because of this. And that's another point that me and Adam were talking about when we had a coffee before I went on holiday, is the healthcare system. I think we're lucky to have a healthcare such as the NHS in the UK. But I do feel like it's gone downhill. You cannot get doctor's appointments when you need them or when you want them. You have to ring up. You used to be able to ring up and make an appointment for a week's time. You can't do that now. You have to ring up on the day of the appointment which you want it. And the surgery is open at 8 a.m. in the UK, and I rang at 7:59 the other day, and it was shut. Ran back at 8 o'clock on the dot. I was fourth in the queue, and then I was told there's no appointments for that day. So you can't tell me the people in front of me are just taking all them appointments. So we pay monthly into our healthcare system through national insurance. That's where your national insurance goes. It goes into the health service and the public sector and stuff. So we pay into it, but it's hard for us to use. And then we started talking about the healthcare system in the USA, where you are insured and you pay for everything. And I threw an argument out there where you might have to pay for everything, but you're getting treatment. You're getting seen. But I still don't think it's realistic. The bill that some people are left with just for having run-of-the-mill average treatments. People they're bankrupt. People can't really create a life again after that. So it's sort of two sides of the same coin, if that's the right thing to say. But I just hope once the country settles down with where it's going, what's supposed to be happening, I hope we can sort of get some focus back into that sort of thing, because we need the healthcare system. I've needed it before. I'm sure everyone, all four listeners that I have used it before for some apparent reason. But I can only imagine that nuclear isotopes in your wine that you've been drinking for years will end up you needing to use the healthcare system. And California wine is probably one of the world's biggest distributors of wine. Napa Valley is famous for its wine and its grapes. So makes you wonder how many people have been affected by it, because I can almost guarantee I drunk wine from California, and so probably have you. So is it wait for the conspiracy theorists to pick up on this and say that the government have been lacing grapes in Napa Valley with nuclear isotopes, or chemtrails are to blame for people that are sprouting fourth heads and stuff, you know. So I'm sure that the conspiracy theorists will find a way in somewhere on this one, because that's like a gold mine for them, I suppose. More headlines. Bitter, ferocious debate. Who gets to be a woman? Now, I'm not 100% sure how this is news headlines, but I'm gonna try and break it down for people so it's quite simple. The way I see it is, who gets to be a woman is, if you're born with a vagina, and that's not the private parts that hangs down. Although, you know, again, I'm aware that all vaginas come in different shapes and sizes, and some may hang. But stereotypically, a vagina doesn't hang. So if you're unsure and you look between your legs and you see, you know, like something dangling there that looks like maybe it could look like a finger, it could look like a Coke can, you know, it could look like a tree trunk in some instances. You probably are not a woman. You are not a woman. You have been born with a penis, which means you're a man. So, you know, and that, I've just closed that debate. Who gets to be a woman? Woman. Come on. And that's all there is to it, if you ask me. The more we allow people to think they are something that they're not, i.e. the more we allow a man to think he's a woman. And I understand, okay, I do get homosexuality. If you're a male, adult male, and if your sexual preference is again towards other adult males, doesn't necessarily mean you are feminine or you are in the wrong body. It just means your sexual preference is towards other adult males. Same with women. If you are an adult female and your sexual preference is towards other adult females, doesn't necessarily mean you are a male inside a woman's body. And I understand, you know, that is not a choice. Your sexual orientation is not a choice. But I do believe we've allowed too much freedom for choice with your gender. So what I'm saying is, we've allowed too much leeway and too many people to believe and tell themselves, I'm not a man, when you are a male, and you are in fact a male. You say, I'm not a male, I'm not a male, I'm not a female, I am gender fluid. Which to me is a bit silly, a bit ridiculous. And I know that's quite a harsh statement, because that's sort of these people who claim they're gender fluid, or people who claim they are gender neutral. This is their feelings. All right. So I understand that this is can be a touchy subject, but to me, you are not gender fluid or asexual or gender neutral or a hermaphrodite. I believe hermaphrodites are real things. You know, where you're born with both male and female reproductive organs. But for me, 9 times out of 10, you are a male or female, and that one time out of 10 is a hermaphrodite, because I believe they exist, so they have to be included as well. But end of debate for me. Who gets to be a woman? Woman. And that is, to me, that is that. So let's bury that one. Let's get that one crossed off. Duck boat capsizes in Missouri. Now, if I'm right in thinking this, there's still people missing in the water. So I believe there's rescue attempts happening and rescue efforts that are going down, looking for people who have been thrown from this duck boat. Now, I'm pretty confident in saying I'm probably not the only person here who hasn't got a fucking clue what a duck boat is. And I would have bad skeptical hippo eyes over the fact that it's called a duck boat. Anything that is, because ducks are prone to going underwater. Sometimes you see ducks feet first, feet out of the water, head under the water. And if there's a boat that's named after a duck, I wouldn't be confident in getting on it. If there's a boat which is named after anything other than a boat, I wouldn't be comfortable in getting on it. If there's a slight chance that you wouldn't get on it if it was called a fish boat, because fish spend their life underwater. So I wouldn't be comfortable in getting on it called a duck boat, because ducks can dive. They can dive under the water, and they can stay under the water for a little while. So I'd just like it to be called a boat before I got on it. I'd like to know it's going to stay afloat and just be a boat or ship. So not really a surprise to me that something's gone wrong with it. It is a shame. I hope everyone involved is all okay, and I hope everyone is found and accounted for. But can't say I'm surprised that a duck boat has capsized, because I've seen real ducks, capsize, and they're a living thing. They have control of it, and I've seen ducks capsize. So yeah, not too sure why it's called a duck boat. Wouldn't be comfortable in getting on it. I think that's about it for the news headlines. What I'm going to try and do actually is I'm going to try and do like a Primark special. If you don't know what Primark is, it's a shop here in the UK, which attracts all sorts of crowds and all sorts of people. A buddy of mine actually is a manager at Primark, and he told me on his first day, his first day as manager, a woman actually came into the store and for no apparent reason, she just took a shit on the floor. And that's the sort of thing that happens in Primark. You could go into Primark looking for a new pair of shoes, and you can come out of there pregnant. Or you can go in there looking for a new rug for your home, and you come out with chlamydia. So anything can happen when you enter them doors of Primark. And every time I go in there, it's always eventful and entertaining. So I'm going to try and do maybe a Primark special soon, and I'm going to get my buddy Adam Brimson on the podcast very soon as well. We're working out a solid date for him to come and join me to have a chat. But in the meantime, you can find him on social media, because he's an artist. He draws stuff, and his art is phenomenal. I've never seen art like it, and he doesn't get paid for it. It's just something he enjoys doing. So you can find him on Instagram if you search Adam Brimson Designs. He's got albums of all his work and stuff on there, so you can see exactly what he gets up to and the real talent that he's got there. And he's a very interesting man. There's a lot of good points, a very good conversationist. So we'll get him on as soon as we can, because that will spice it up. But as always, if you've got anything you would like to discuss, you can write into the Facebook, or you can email in at thoughtsfromthetoilet@outlook.com. And there's now a button on the Thoughts from the Toilet Instagram. If you don't follow me on there, follow Thoughts from the Toilet on Instagram. There's now a button you can use to email me directly. So you can have if something's bothering you, something's on your mind, you've been to Primark, you've seen something in Primark, you've seen some shit go down in there. Sometimes that's literal. Sometimes there's actual shit, rolling around in there. So if you've seen anything go down like that, you can always let me know, and I can always throw it out and I can discuss it. It can be anything. You could have got drunk at Christmas of 2005 and you could have kissed your auntie. But more than just you know, a peck on the cheek. You know, you could have put a tongue in there, and that's your auntie. So you can talk about that, and we can keep things anonymous. It's not a problem. We can do that. But if you've got anything you want to discuss or talk about, then please do let me know, because it'd be fun to share. You know, I share some of my experiences with you guys, and it'd be fun for you guys to share some of your experiences with me and everyone else. So as I said before, please go to my Instagram. You know, I've got a personal Instagram, and I've got Thoughts from the Toilet on Instagram. And you can follow me on there. Keep up to date with the podcast, video clips, pictures, all other bits and bobs on there. You can do that. You can check out Home Cooking Delivered, Next Generation Martial Arts, or NGMA, Strength and Performance Southampton, and Mission Mental Health Podcast. You know, they're the things that I'll promote. They're the things that I think people should be looking into. So go ahead and check all of them out on all the social medias mentioned. You know, they're all on social media. You're always on social media, so you can always just search and have a look and see if anything takes your fancy there. But yes, I'm back from Majorca, so welcome back to the UK to me. And you know, I'm going to leave you again with the song that's on the intro, Tay Watts, Ready to Go. Listen to that all the way through. You know, he's got songs all on his YouTube. He's a very, very talented man, and is part of the Forever 27 Club. So I'm going to leave you with Tay Watts, Ready to Go, and I'll check in with you next week. Be good to yourself. You deserve it.
She says she doesn't kiss and tell, her love's not for sale, and she won't fall for any games I play. So I smile back mischievously, girl, you must not know me. I think we're already going that way. I can't promise that you won't be mad when you wake up and I'm not around, 'cause every love I've had, it all went bad. So this is all I've got now. You're nothing but trouble, and I've had a couple. So tell me if I'm trying too hard. Those jeans that you wore belong on the floor, so I'm ready to go whenever you are. Go whenever you are. I tell her that I'm bad news. She says it's cool, me too. And I'm like, alright, at least we're starting out strong. 'Cause I don't wanna lie to you, so let me lead with the truth. I'm not expecting this to last too long. I can't promise that you won't be mad when you wake up and I'm not around. Every love I've had, it all went bad. So this is all I've got now, and you're nothing but trouble, and I've had a couple. So tell me if I'm trying too hard. Those jeans that you wore belong on the floor, so I'm ready to go whenever you are. Go whenever you are. Whenever you are. I don't care where, I don't care why, as long as I'm leaving here with you tonight. We can dance under the stars or in the backseat of my car. I'm ready to go whenever you are. You're nothing but trouble, and I've had a couple. So tell me if I'm trying too hard. But those jeans that you wore belong on my floor, so I'm ready to go whenever you are. you.